Hey guys, Ronan here. Today's video is brought to you by Viagra, the little blue pill that'll never let you down. You're jamming down the highway, all of a sudden check engine light comes on. What do? You're an owner-operator. Do you run it into the big shop or do you take it into the smaller mom and pop shop? We're gonna give you some pros and cons on each of them. Hopefully it'll help you out. As an owner-operator, or even as a small fleet owner, you've got to make some decisions when you've got equipment out on the road. Whether you've got one truck and you're driving it, or you've got 10 trucks and you've got drivers in them, things happen. Check engine light comes on, something goes wrong. There's always a mechanical failure somewhere down the road. Somehow or another, you got to get that fixed. So what do? So do you run it into the dealership, or do you try to find the smaller shop? I'm just going to give you some of my quick experiences of what I've done in the past. Now, I've been an owner-operator for 18 years. In the beginning, when I've got my first truck, even my second truck, if I had a problem, the first thing I'd do is, I'd get on the phone, I'd start looking for the nearest Kenworth dealership, right? And run it into Kenworth. Oh, they built it, they know it, they can fix it. As time went on, I slowly learned you can find a smaller shop. We're just going to kind of do the pros on that right now. What we're doing is... Your timing's perfect. It was his idea.
Hey guys, Ronan here. I wanted to personally thank you for watching this video.
I am the son of a truck driver and working for a medium-sized carrier as an operations manager. Growing up, I heard a lot of complaints about the trucking industry, and now I see it on a daily basis. I wanted to create a channel in order to unite North American drivers, share my knowledge, educate drivers to become more successful, and hopefully, one day, to make a positive impact in our industry. Some concerns that I have in our industry revolve around safety. I want to discuss trucking companies that should not be on the roads.
Our immigration policies need to be tightened up,
And mistreatments.
of truck drivers and driver compensation.
When we unite, we can make a difference. These videos and this channel is not meant for recruiting purposes. As me and my team continue to produce high quality and interesting videos, I do need your support in order to make a difference in this North American market.
Please subscribe to our channel. And if you're enjoying the video you're watching, give it a thumbs up. And now, back to the video.
Now, a minute ago, I was talking about all the pros of taking your truck to the small mom and pop shop. As you can see by around me, we've had to relocate because the office that I had hijacked has been hijacked. What the hell was I talking? I was talking about mom and pop. And these are some of the pros that I have found. The mom and pop shops, you generally don't have to wait. Why? Because they don't have, it's not that they don't have the business, they do have the business, but when you've got a big dealership like Freightliner or Kenworth or whatever, those guys are dealing with corporate. So there's usually 30 trucks sitting out in the parking lot waiting to be fixed. And after those 30 are done, they might be able to squeeze you in being a small little guy. If the corporate stores are so busy because they're selling 2, 3, 4, 500 trucks to these big fleets, you gotta know, and you're a small-time guy like me with one truck, they're gonna be polite to you, but they're not gonna be in a hurry to get you in because they've got $5 million worth of business sitting there that they wanna get over your $1,200, $1,500, $5,000. You go to the small mom and pop shops, they will generally work with you. I also find with them that I get a more personalized service. They're better to you. You can talk to them, you tell them what's going on. They're not in such a hurry to throw a computer on it and go, okay, there's your problem, bang it. I take it into any of these shops and they take the time, they're a little more dedicated to finding the problem. It's not just what that computer is telling them. Some of these guys, I've been lucky that are very experienced, that came out of the big dealerships and some of these other shops that I do deal with. They're great for the fact that they've taken all that experience, they come here and they've got the time. They're not working on quotas, they're not working on speed. They take the time to find what's wrong and they fix it most of the time. But that is why I generally like the mom and pop shops. Now, the pros of having the big shops, let's face it, you could stand on the roof of this building, close your eyes and throw a rock in any direction and hit one. They're everywhere. If you drive a Freightliner, you're lucky. You've got probably the biggest network of dealerships in North America. Volvos, same thing. They've pretty much got dealerships. You can get into any of them. The bonus with Kenworth and Peterbilt is you can take a Peterbilt to Kenworth and you can take a Kenworth to Peterbilt. It's all PACCAR, so it's all the same. So again, their network is large. They're everywhere. And that is a big bonus because there has been the time where I could not get anywhere. I've been able to get it towed, or I've had to go to Volvo. There was no mom and pop. That's the only issue with the mom and pop shops, is you have to be selective where you break down, and you don't always have that choice. You're gonna break down where you break down. You don't have a choice. But if you do and there's no mom and pop, you can probably find a Volvo. In my case, when I owned the Volvo, the problem with Volvos is if it's a motor issue, it has to go to Volvo. But with a Volvo motor, you're pretty much limited. You gotta take it into Volvo. As a lot of you know, I've recently sold the Volvo. I've moved into a Kenworth. Working with a Kenworth shop or a smaller shop, my personal feeling on this and experience with this is that I use the smaller shops. Over the years that I've been doing this, what I've done, this advice was given to me by an old timer many years ago. He says, find the smaller shops. If you find a shop and you use it and you're loyal, they'll reward you for it. They'll remember you. I've got 4 shops, 2 in Canada and 2 in the States, that I use for my trucks. Now, I've had a Volvo. I'm now driving a W9 with a Detroit, so I don't have a Volvo motor and I'm not a Volvo. But these shops will work on my truck. What I did throughout the years is I set up a small network. And that just means use the same shop time and time again. Always pay your bill on time. Don't squabble and don't fight. Don't argue with them when they give you the bill. You know, if it's a fair price, pay the fair price. These guys got to make a living too. They don't have $7 million worth of business sitting in their parking lot waiting to fix. They're going truck by truck. Now, the big shops are a different story. I stay away from them because I haven't always had the best experience. I've gone into a dealership, got a bill for $3,000. I didn't make it 400 miles down the road and the truck's doing the exact same thing. Problem wasn't fixed. Basically, I was brought in, they took my money, they bubble gummed it and band-aided it, and out the door I went. What do I know? I'm not a mechanic. Do I know about the mechanics of my truck? Sure. But do I know about every internal working on that motor? I'm not quite that advanced. If you are, good for you. Maybe you'll catch this and you won't have that problem, but I'm not. I've kind of had some bad experiences. Now, there has been a couple of times. I was at the Volvo in Des Moines. I think it was a Gator. I had a problem there with the rad, blah, blah, blah. They brought me in. 8 hours later, they spit me out. I was good. So there's a good experience from a big dealership, but I've got more experiences that aren't the greatest with the big dealerships than I do with the small ones. So I prefer to stick with the small ones. The problem we've all got really is a lot of the time it's geographics. Depending on where you live in the country or where you're running in the country. Let's say I'm going out west, I'm going Chicago. Something happened in Chicago, yeah, I've got my mom and pop, but if you don't, you can throw a rock in any direction, hit a dealership of any sort in the Chicago, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin, Iowa, all the way across Iowa. That whole block in there is big for dealers. You will not have a problem at any time finding a dealer. Where you're probably going to run into trouble, the dealerships are spread out farther and farther. So whereas before, if you're in Chicago, you're in Toronto, you're in whatever, you could probably got a problem. You can limp your truck into the dealer. When you get into, say, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, that whole area of the country down there, you're going to start running into the distance factor, where instead of being 70 miles or 80 miles from dealership to dealership, you're going to run into probably a couple of 100 miles before you have a dealership. And that's when you're doing pulling the truck over when you really don't want to, because as long as it's rolling, you want to keep it rolling. But you got to pull the truck over, you got to start Googling, or you got to start, you got to get on the phone and start calling places to find out where you can get a smaller place, because you may not make it to a dealership. And that can get a little more expensive, because if you do have to pull it over and you're looking at a tow bill, I'd rather get my truck towed 70 or 60 to 70 miles instead of 250 miles. It makes a big difference in your tow bill. But then you get down Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, you can, again, you're back into another whole area where you can throw a rock in any direction. You can hit a truck dealership. And those are great areas for mom and pop. I don't have a mom and pop shop down that area. I know of a couple from different websites that I'm on and got what guys use, but I've never experienced, believe it or not, I've never broke down in Texas, knock on wood. But you get to Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, even up to Colorado, stuff like that. You're in a bigger, denser area. You've got more dealerships down there. One thing I do see for some reason, and I don't know because I don't do a lot of it, is Florida. For some reason, on a lot of these message boards and sites that I'm on, there's guys constantly looking for good shops in Florida. There's a lot of questions coming up on the boards on the questions of where is a good shop to use. I'm starting to assume there are no good shops in Florida. And if you've got a good shop and and you know you're a good shop, you know what? Throw a comment down here and let people know, because I've got people all the time saying to me, where's a shop in Florida? Hey, if you got one, make a comment, let us know. I've said it a million times in other videos. It's not a matter of if you're going to break down, it's a matter of when. You are going to take breakdowns. Hopefully this video helped you out. If it does, great. If not, hey, you know what? Start Googling. Hit the subscribe button and give us a like. Thanks for watching.